Farmable Asgardians, more changes to the Red Star system on the way, and some amendments to some previous rumors all coming up on your Marvel Strike Force weekly news update. And Khasino, tell him what to do, brother.
Let's go squish it.
ValleyFlyin.
What is up, Valley Maniacs? ValleyFlyin here. I am back. Welcome to the channel and your Marvel Strike Force weekly news update. As usual, I am joined by my brother Khasino. What's going on, man?
What's going on?
How are you doing?
I don't even know anymore.
I gotta say, that is a very nice haircut you have.
I thank you. I made the mistake of telling you I was getting a haircut.
It is looking very sweet, dude. Very, very sweet.
Do I make you horny, baby?
I was just wondering. Anyway, hey, gotta be good. A little bit of a shout out before we get to these news. You got featured on the Strike Time video. Congratulations,
yes,
my friend.
Thank you. It's about time.
Yes. I guess the change to should you buy red stars help that.
Well, I know that they didn't want to put "Don't buy red stars" in, so yeah, I think we got around that.
All right, well, I'm glad you changed the name and you got featured on that. It is about time, my friend. But guys, there's some ways to support the channel. BlueStacks is my preferred emulator of choice, and also some cool Valley merch. These things go on sale all the time, so make sure you check out the links down below. But first item on the news docket, Sif to the War Store. Farmable Asgardians good, but Sif in probably the least player-friendly place to be farmed. What are your thoughts on Sif getting added to the War Store?
I'm fine with it. I mean, the War Store is a more efficient farm than on a node, so.
Well, here's my thing. So the first time around, a lot of free-to-play players were shut out of Black Bolt. What do you think this is going to do for free-to-play players trying to get Black Bolt on the second iteration? Do you think they're going to get shut out again and no way to get him, or do you think this is a viable method to farm, or maybe they'll introduce some shards, maybe via Blitz or some other method?
I mean, they usually find some excuse to bring in some extra shards, like they've got the login calendar and stuff. So there will be some extra methods, and they intentionally try to get it so like the average casual player is almost at what they need and is incentivized to maybe just buy that one offer that gets them there around that time. But again, I mean, we've been running the numbers, and assuming that you're just having average performance in Alliance War, then yeah, you know, like most of the people in like just generally just being in the gold league, pretty much all those players, if they, you know, just get like an average, let's just assume like 40 kills in a war, which is not, you know, a perfect performance or anything like that, you're going to be able to farm slightly more Sif than you would someone from a node, unless you were doing the 100 core refreshes of that node. But if we assume that like they put her on a node instead and you would refresh the node twice a day, you're going to get more Sif this way. So the people are upset because they think that it's rarer, but really a lot of the outrage is stemming from the late game players who have been spending all their war currency on the orange gear, and now they have to choose between Sif and the orange gear.
Gotcha.
You know, people always get mad when you bring in an element of resource management. You know, if it's like you buy your entree and you get a free appetizer, there's always the people who are like, well, yeah, but I wanted 2 appetizers, but I don't want to like buy another one. I just want both.
Makes sense. I didn't actually run the numbers. I saw there was a lot of people angry at Discord, and I just kind of assumed, oh yeah, it's going to be very hard to farm. But yeah, if you run the numbers and it looks like it's a little more farmable than a campaign node, that's a good thing. But for me, this actually brought out an issue. We talked about this a little more at length last week about these shell alliances and just the currency going on in war. One suggestion I heard was not just adjusting the rewards per tier, but basing the season ranking rewards based on the tier. So tying that to that. Do you think this would be an effective solution for shell alliances?
Yeah, assuming, I mean, this is what we talked about last week. I said, essentially, as long as the league rewards were a bigger incentive. People are shelling because they don't care about the league rewards. So if the league rewards mattered, but like, what you want to be careful of is not taking away the rewards. Yeah. Like keeping that reward structure as it is. But yeah, just making it so that, you're getting better rewards for staying in your alliance and progressing.
Yeah, I've seen that as a bunch of suggestions. People maybe tying the length of time you stay to Alliance. But my pushback on that was there's legitimate reasons that people leave an Alliance, and you're kind of punishing those people. But I know you mentioned the gold season rewards. I mean the tier rewards, but the season rewards are what they're shelling for, right? So if you tied your tier like gold 1, gold 2, whatever it is, to the season rewards, I think that would be a kind of a compromise, because I was looking after you said that, I was looking at all the rewards. I'm like, there's not a big gap between each of the tiers.
Right, but that's what they need to fix.
Make it a bigger gap.
Make it a much bigger gap, because it takes forever. So it's not. What I mean? Like, if you look at how minimal those improvements and rewards are, and then you look at like best case scenario, if you're like the rank 1 alliance, you do that in like 6 months. It's not remotely rewarding. But what you don't want to do, and like there's ways they could do it, but basically if they move some of the season rewards over to the league, people who aren't at the appropriate league won't be able to get the same rewards they used to. Like, you don't want anyone in a situation where they're getting worse rewards. Yeah. That's the situation to avoid. You could do that by making the season rewards exactly the same, tied to your league, but at the low end, like the absolute bottom rewards be equal to what they get now. But then you'd have to get really crazy to make them significantly better with each league and go all the way up. It would get crazy. Yeah. So I think you leave those where they are, and you just make the individual tiers better. And they could also, just reward for like I don't want to say like a win spree, but just like for maintaining a certain average. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, there's so many good solutions, and hopefully they'll implement a lot of these. I know in that Strike Time episode, they were targeting April, mid-April, late April for a lot of the changes. So hopefully within the next month or so, we'll see changes to these shelling alliances and some other things that we're going to discuss. Some of which we discussed last week, and we have a little more information on, so we might discuss them again.
It's one of the major things they need to fix. Like shelling is. I'm sure I already ticked off some people by saying that I'm not particularly upset about Sif being in the war store, but I am upset about all the shelling that's going on. It's not fun if you're going up against these alliances, and it's one of the main things FoxX really needs to fix, because they've started making a lot of things revolve around Alliance War, and if Alliance War is just an unfun stomp where you can't even hope to be competitive, what are they doing? They're just forcing people to have a bad time, and it's totally avoidable.
Yeah, it's already tough with the matchups with 4 different time zones to try to find somebody in that is reasonably along with that. But when you add shelling into that too, it just makes the matchups just not fun. So yeah, that was one of the big things I saw with Sif going to the war store. But we got another Asgardian that became farmable, or not became farmable, but we got noticed that she will become farmable in a certain way. Hela coming to the villains campaign, and it sounded like she was the end part of that villains campaign. What do you think of this move? And do you think any of this was tied to Tadano Mac Japan's selection of Hela as the 100 shard character?
I mean, it's possible, but unlikely. I mean, they knew they had to make the Asgardians farmable before the next Black Bolt event. Yeah. So it's possible that they originally wanted like Hela in the war store and Sif on a note or something, but beyond that, I don't think there's a significant difference here. And the other thing is they try to put a valuable character. Like if you look, the last character in a campaign for the newer ones, so I'm mainly looking at like when it did the new Mystic chapter, Mystic 3.9, they put Vision. They try to put a really good character at the very, very end as your incentive to go all the way to the end. Yeah. So I don't think people would have been as excited for Sif like they would just right around the Black Bolt event, but Hela is just awesome all the time. And even if you're not going to get 7-star Black Bolt, you still want 7-star Hela. So Hela is a great capped reward for like, hey, if you get all the way through the new villains campaign.
I didn't think of it that way. I didn't think of it that way. The last character giving incentive to go all the way through, but it does make sense. So maybe she was originally planned for villains all the time, and that'd
be my guess.
Rewards were just icing on top of the cake.
Or maybe she's not even at the end. Maybe she's like villains, the third node and Ghost Riders all the way at the end. Who knows?
Yeah, I mean, it sounded like she was at the end, but they didn't say for sure. So yeah, exactly.
I'm assuming she is.
We saw this in a data mine last week, and I guess it is confirmed now. A couple things about his kit. I think a lot of people thought that what was data mined about Red Skull's kit was going to be in the game. It is looking like the kit that was data mined is the kit that is coming for Red Skull based on this in-game message from a few days ago. And Hail Hydra Blitz confirmed. It is not just a data mine anymore. He is going to be a Blitz release character. What is your reaction to this now that it is official?
I mean, this is kind of what we were expecting all along. Like, Red Skull had a Blitz data mined a little while back. I think it might have even been in a previous patch. I'm not sure why people doubted the kit. Like, the kit was implemented in this patch, and he was announced as a featured character for this patch. So they would have had to have hotfixed the game to change his kit, which, it wouldn't really make sense to do. And I mean, I think his kit's reasonable. He's strong in a single game mode. He's not unbeatable. It wouldn't be the first time they made an Alliance Ward defense that's really tough to beat. So, yeah, I think it's good. And I think that they were planning, I'm not 100% sure on this, but I think they were planning on doing Ironheart as a Blitz too. And so I think the reason that Ironheart got pushed back more than anything was Blob has to be a Blitz. Red Skull has to be a Blitz. They didn't want to also make Ironheart a Blitz, it just would have gotten crazy.
They've done it before. They've had like 3 or 4 new characters released in a row before. And it's just
yes, they have, but they at least that time they had like one as a Blitz release while the other was like in Blitz milestones. But at least it wasn't just a Blitz release, a Blitz release, a Blitz release. And they might have done it once before, but they try not to. They try to have a varied release. Most patches they'll have like 2 Blitz release characters, but 3 is pretty excessive. Again, someone being Blitz milestones is like, that's on the cusp, but at least it's not. Because if you think about it, every Blitz release has to run for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And the average patch length is like 6 weeks. It's like 5 to 6 weeks. So it would just have to be like day 1 Blitz so that you could go 2 weeks and then another Blitz that lasts 2 weeks and then another Blitz that lasts 2 weeks and then another patch.
Yeah.
So they try not to do too many Blitz releases for obvious reasons. And I think their schedule's all jumbled up. We'll talk about this more towards the end of this, but I've been trying to make sense of like what their schedule has to look like. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't make any sense to me. And the fact that they're throwing in like filler backdated characters that were designed a while ago that they're just getting around to, I think their schedule's all over the place right now. But so what I think has happened is they've had stuff that they had to keep pushing back and pushing back and pushing back, but they're going to run into not 1, but 2 hard deadlines. The game's 1-year anniversary is coming up, and the Black Widow movie is coming out. And I think that both of those things have like hard deadlines around them that now everything either has to get like pushed so far back that it goes all the way behind all of that, or it gets like rushed out right up before it so that it's done. And so, yeah, I think they're, between the sale and anything in the production schedule that they changed around as a result of the boycott and everything else that's been going on, I think they're just, I think they're struggling right now.
Makes sense. Sounds very logical. One final question before we move on from Red Skull. Blitz. We don't even have Blob's Blitz yet. I'm assuming those scores will be at an all-time high. What are you expecting for Red Skull, considering that he seems like he's very dominant in only 1 game mode instead of a universal type character?
I mean, he's still going to be good in other game modes. He won't be incredible, but so the first thing is like, he's a single character that you can go hard for his Blitz or wail out for him a little bit, and all the rest of the members of his team are easy to get. So it's really like you just need him, and then you can put a team together.
Yeah.
So, getting a whole team for the price of 1 character, so to speak, I think people will go for. And he's pretty popular. So yeah, I imagine that his scores will be pretty high. And again, if nothing else, like just once you have Red Skull, now that team should be very reliably able to win in like tier 8 of Blitz. So
with the blog post and the Strike Time episode, we also got a word of an event coming. This is probably one of the better legendary characters at this point. Invisible Woman coming back. Now, I know a lot of people, including myself, were using her very often in Ultima 7. I see her a lot on Arena Defense. Plus, she really makes that Fantastic Four team a viable team. How hard should people be going for these Sinister Six members if they don't already have Invisible Woman unlocked, or start pushing for that next star level?
I have mixed feelings on this. I mean, I think she's one of the best legendaries, hands down. Like, she's absolutely incredible. The multi-turn offense down to all enemies, in addition to a giant barrier. Like, as soon as she uses that one ability, it's so much protection. It's really, really good. And then, her special 2 turns of defense up is also really, really good. She brings the Fantastic Four team online in a big way. And they become just one of the most formidable Alliance War offense teams with Namor. So that's awesome. I think it makes sense to go hard for her, but
I felt the butt coming.
You felt the butt, did you?
I did.
That's fun out of context.
Do I make you horny, baby?
Oh, here with this.
Sorry. Distractions.
No. It's all right. She's oddly non-essential. Like, she did great for me in the challenges. She's an excellent backup raid character. Like, if I have someone die in Ultima 7, rather than revive them, a lot of times just bring her in and she's an excellent pinch hitter. But the Sinister Six are very non-essential except for her event. So powering up the Sinister Six, they're a functional Alliance War offense team, but they're not really great for anything. You just need them good enough to unlock her, and you don't really need them for anything else. So that's a little bit wasteful, so to say. Again, no, it's never wasteful to power anyone up, but in terms of higher priorities, you'll get better return at present powering up other teams. And then the Fantastic Four, again, the Fantastic Four are one of my favorite war teams, but outside of war, I don't really use them. Again, I had a lot of success with Sue and Johnny, and with Sue solo in several of the challenges. Mm-hmm. So she's a great character. She's a huge asset to any Ultima 7 team, and she's way worth getting. But if you have limited resources and you're having to choose between legendaries, I think you can get away with having either her or Shuri. Not necessarily having to have both. Obviously, it's better to have both, but
the good thing about Sinister Six, you get 2 for 1 with them.
Yes, that is true. That's very true, and that gave them value.
Yes,
right.
So maybe just putting some stars on them, not necessarily gearing them up, leveling them up, just getting the stars so you can unlock those 2 legendary characters is primarily the value of that team. Yep,
it's worth. But I will say this, with the Fantastic Four, I super heavily invested in my Fantastic Four, not because I was like, oh, they're so unbelievably good as an Alliance War offense team that I should put all the resources in. Don't get me wrong, they're an incredible Alliance War offense team, but they seem to me like the team that is just one patch away from jumping back in the spotlight. We got them with Namor as the 5th, but they were advertised as a versatile team. And Namor making them war specific, they are a very well-rounded team. So this is old news, so to speak. It's not really news, but this is something that people have been saying for a long time. But sooner or later, we're going to have to get Silver Surfer. Sooner or later, we're going to have to get Doctor Doom. I mean, he already has a model in the game. So it's just kind of an assumption that those characters will be a 5th on Fantastic Four. We don't know that, but it kind of makes sense.
I mean, that's been the rumors. That's been the rumors for a long time. Nothing official,
right?
But I think speculation's been out there.
And it just makes sense. Rather than just always have Namor as the unofficial 5th, if you're going to advertise them as a versatile team, having different 5ths that equip them for different game modes, and we're seeing them go in that direction. With the X-Men, the rumored Beast kit that we saw in the data mine starts to suggest hey, there's certain characters you can swap in and out if you're trying to turn them into a raid team.
Yeah.
So I think they're going in that direction. So the single biggest reason I can come up with for like heavily investing in Fantastic Four is we're probably going to get more members of that team eventually. And if they release like Doctor Doom and he makes that team just like crazy in Arena all of a sudden, you're going to want the team behind him good to go. And even if you end up running a hybrid, Sue is like pretty much a guaranteed one of the characters that you're not going to drop. And I use Sue every day in Arena currently in almost all my matchups. So she's
offensively, because I don't see her on your defensive team.
Yeah, offensively.
Okay. Great character. I like her, and possibilities in the future. Symbiote Spider-Man. Looks like those milestones are going away very, very soon, unfortunately, and they said they're returning in the near future. No date yet. What do you think of this release method? I'm hearing that it's going to be back 3 times. I thought it only said 2 times, but what are your thoughts on this?
Well, they originally said that it'll be back 2 more times for a total of 3 times.
2 more times.
So that might be,
that's why I'm getting confused. Okay.
2 additional times for a total of 3.
Okay.
And I think that's where the confusion's coming from. I mean, I'm annoyed. He's an incredibly good character. He's just a insanely good solo character. So we got a lot of grief for having Spider-Man in God tier for a while now on the tier list streams. And with this most recent one, we downgraded him to demigod, but like the base Spider-Man has normally, like, there's been a case for him being God tier this entire time. And I agree now he does belong in demigod, but he's still like such a top tier character. And if you look at his kit, Symbiote Spider-Man gave him the everything you can do, I can do better, and just one-upped him everywhere. Just better sustain, way more debuffs, more control, just awesome. So I'm sad to see that he's going away. I'm glad that he'll be coming back, but it seems weird to have that intermission. I don't know what this means. I wanted to keep farming him. I'm gonna fall just short of 6-star, and there's really nothing I can do about it. Even if I just, well, I got the offers to start with, so that made it easier. But yeah, even if I just like fully wail out and go crazy until his milestones go away, I'll be just short of 6-star. So. I don't know. I hope he comes back real soon because he's really, really good. I'm probably going to end up using him in the city lane of Dark Dimension 3 whenever I do that. So,
all right, prediction time. When do you think it's coming back? 2 weeks, 3 weeks, month, more than a month?
I'm gonna guess a patch. Just round number.
Okay. All right. So also mentioned in the Strike Time episode was some Red Star revamp, and they gave a timeline on this. They didn't give specifics on what other changes they were bringing. I know a previous blog post they mentioned the scaling of the Red Stars, trying to make changes of this, but they gave a timeline by April. I think they said mid-April or late April for all of these changes to be in effect. What are you looking forward to? What do you think is going to happen with some of these Red Star changes that they've been kind of talking about?
Well, so the timeline is actually not new news. And in the very first blog that they made saying that they were going to make Red Star changes, they said by the end of April. Okay. So that we knew. As far as what changes, so the first thing is they're giving us more promotion credits. Like they're trying to find ways to put more promotion credits in. So they put promotion credits in the daily objectives. They said they want to put promotion credits in the Alliance donation. You know what I'm talking about? And some of these I could be getting confused for the Elite 4 credits, but they're while not identical.
So the Elite 4 credits are in the challenges, and then those promotion credits are from are the daily achievements that you get for donating to your Alliance. Right. So those are the 2 things that we have right now that they added since then.
Yep. So they added promotion credits in the daily objectives. They added more Elite 4 credits, and then they also added more Elite 4 credits in a roundabout way by changing the drop rates. When they changed the drop rates of Red Stars, now that we get more 3 stars, if you don't have a lot of characters at least 3 Red Star, then you're going to be filling out your roster much quicker. But once you're to the point where most characters are 3-star, now you're getting a lot more 400 batches of those Elite 4 credits. So more Elite 4 credits as well, which you can exchange for promotion credits. Probably shouldn't, but which you can. And so all of this is essentially allowing people, A, to just get more higher Red Star characters faster, And then with the promotion credits and also the change to like the Dark Dimension 3 rewards, they're obviously shifting towards giving players more control of how they are, leveling up their characters, basically giving them the option to level up who they want in terms of red stars, which is really, really good. Then what else? They're changing the power curve of red stars, which is something that from the day they announced this feature, I've been scratching my head at why it wasn't already like this. So that's good. It's more or less going to resemble exactly a graph that I drew. Like as soon as they released the feature, I was like, why does your power curve graph look like this when it should look like this? So good. I think they're getting on the right track there. The one thing that they haven't addressed that they've said they want to keep an eye on and that they're looking to make changes, but they don't want to promise the changes are going to happen yet because no decisions have been made, are the dupe rates. In my opinion, like don't get me wrong, it's still not perfect. We would love it if there was just almost no RNG involved and if we could all just get everyone to higher red stars much quicker. But I think what they're doing is pretty reasonable. It's just the dupe rates. The dupe rates are atrocious.
So in dupe rates, you're talking about the credits that you get when you get a duplicate red star from an orb?
Yes. Again, I had someone contact me the other day. They got a 7 red star duplicate from a normal orb, which I don't even want to get started on that. The odds of that happening are astronomical, but this is just like the most extreme way to illustrate how unreasonable these are. And this person doesn't have like tons of 7 red stars. They have like a couple. So it's just really bad luck that they duped one. But anything you dupe from a normal red star orb gives you Elite 4 credits. No matter what, it only ever gives Elite 4.
Sweet.
So awesome. This person got 2.5 full Elite 4 orbs for their 7 dupe, and then opened, because since it was only 2.5, they could only open 2. They opened 2 Elite 4s, and both of those were dupes. Oh, so awesome. They pulled a 7 and ended up with like a fifth of an Elite 5.
Yes, so that is something that they should address. One thing I think it was mentioned last week, because I got a question about it on the mailbag show, the exchange rate in the store, that 300 silver promotion credits for that 5-star upgrade. It just seems super ridiculous, especially if they're adjusting the power curve this time. What do you think a fair amount would that be? What do you think a fair amount for that would be? I can't even say the question, but I think you know what I mean.
Not any more than 100. Yeah, no, more than 100 is ridiculous. Yeah. And it's because of the rates at which the things can be traded in for them. Like it's pretty crazy. Like an Elite 4, I think it's 1,000 Elite 4 credits gets you 1. Yeah. And then I think it's 1,000 Elite 5 credits gets you 5. I'm pretty sure. It might be 500. I think if it's not 1,000 gets you 5, it's 500 gets you 5. But either way,
I don't remember off the top of my head, but the 5 is a decent exchange rate. Those 4s are just bad.
Well, no, the 5 is an all right exchange rate, but Elite 5s are hard to come by. And, to be like, oh, now I can take someone to 2 red star, 3 red star. It's not good. And then the 6s are the only one that's actually good. 500 Elite 6s gets you 50. So you can just get a 4 red star of your choice. Like that one's kind of reasonable. Like I'll give up my chances toward a random 6 for guaranteed 4. But yeah, to essentially give up 3/5 of a random 6 for a guaranteed 5 with the current power curve just makes no sense to do.
Yeah.
So I hate that pricing. That 300.
So all of that needs to be changed, and hopefully it's something that we'll see in April. All these things addressed. All right. So other thing that they talked about in this Strike Time episode is the Valiant orb is going away to be replaced by gold promotion credits. And one thing that you mentioned, and I'm starting to see this as well, when you have a character right now at 6 red stars, you're getting nothing there. So instead of showing 6 characters in that store, you'll see 5 or 4 or 3 if you have a lot of these characters.
My record is 2.
Oh my goodness. So currently, you can't even upgrade a character to 7 red stars in the store with your with gold promotion credits. So I was like, I don't like this change because you can't really upgrade a character to a character that you select. You would already have to have them at 6 to get them up to 7. I was thinking I would like the Valiant Orb, but according to this in-game mail that we just got, it looks like you're gonna be able to select that, and I'm not sure if that's in addition to the 600 promotion credits that you're already getting in that,
right?
Or
no. Yeah, no. Let me back up. So what they're saying, I can explain exactly what you're saying. What they're saying is they're giving you enough silver promotion credits and enough gold promotion credits that you, if you want, can take anyone from 0 red stars up to 7. If you want to, you'll be able to. You'll have enough to do that. It probably won't make sense to do that. Well, if you want to take one character all the way from 0 to 7, okay. But here's the thing. So this is based on not technically super official information, but so as you said, right now there's no way to take someone from 6 to 7 in the Elite store.
Yeah.
But obviously they're going to put it in. So I had someone write into support and be like, how many gold promo credits to take someone from 6 to 7?
This was a question I had at the end of that video.
I will send you support's screenshotted answer. They said it's going to take 50. So that means they're giving you 50. Now, again, support sometimes just makes stuff up. So it is entirely possible that this person either A, was just like, just tell them 50. It doesn't matter. Yeah. Or, not that I think they did that. Or that, 3 months ago, someone wrote down for them that it's 50 and it got changed last week and they had no idea. So subject to change, but support said 50. Separately, I asked someone, and that person who I asked said, I think it's 50, but I'm not 100% sure. Let me go double check and I'll get back to you. And then they did not. But so far, 2 people have said 50. If they are giving us 50 gold promo credits, you can use that to take someone from 6 to 7, or you can use that to take 10 characters from 5 to 6.
That seems like the better value to me, especially if they're ramping it up like they showed in that blog post.
It seems like a much better value to me also, and that hurts my soul because I want a goddamn 7. And I'll have to be smart about it and get 10 6s instead.
Rescue?
I mean, I'll take a rescue over nothing. Now that we ditched the Valiant.
I would too. So I see what they're doing. They're giving us more selection.
At least now you can take any one person you want to 7 red star and you can make sure it's someone you're going to get great value out of.
But yeah, I don't know. It seems like a mixed bag. I guess we're getting the selection, but we're also not fully able to get a character from 0 to 7 without spending these promotion credits that I guess we were getting anyway. So
right, yeah, we were getting the promotion credits anyway. So it's again, if you just like got a random 7 for someone that you had at like 3, then the Valiant Orb would have technically been a better value. Yeah. But it's the typical Fox Next trade of like, well, you can have something that's objectively worth more but random, or you can choose, but now your choices are limited. But the other thing is like they're just giving you the currency. You can sit on the currency until, and I know that's like a big until, like, oh, until I get someone I'm waiting for to 6 red. Oh yeah, I'll just wait around till 2025 for that to happen. Like I get it, but if you're like, it's a kind of steep price, we'll see, let me give it 3 months. You never know, you might get high red stars on a new character. So it's, I don't see it as that big of a nerf. They could equalize it by being like, we're going to give you a few more silver promotion credits too, but
I think that would be the right thing to do. To be able to take from 0 to 7, but we'll see. So hopefully some of these changes that we mentioned earlier with red stars are also going into effect, and it will seem like a very, very positive experience for this whole thing. All right, now you mentioned this a little earlier. Ironheart got pushed back. We also got notice in this Strike Time episode that the raid difficulty selector being pushed back. I personally didn't have too much of a problem with this. I did see some comments that I do want to talk about a little later, but any problem with these being pushed back?
No, I would have liked the raid difficulty selector. I just think the sooner that gets you, the better. But it's not, it's not urgent. Again, I'm having fun with the game. If there's one thing in particular that I get, the most complaints about in the comments, it's that I'm enjoying the game. People hate when you enjoy the game. Some people anyway. Most people are pretty cool about it, but plenty of people are like, how can you be enjoying the game when they're obviously taking advantage of us? They clearly hate their players, so those are the people I just try to tune out anyway. Like, if you want to be mad and tell people they should be having fun, you go do that. But I've been enjoying the game, so when I see stuff like, oh, sometime soon we're getting a fix that's going to make the game even better, awesome. I'm not the type to be like, what the heck? That should have been here already. You said it would be here. Now we got to wait. Like,
Have you seen anybody complaining about these? I mean, the Ironheart we'll get to, but the raid difficulty selector, have you seen any big pushback because this was pushed further back in the timeline?
I see people complain about absolutely everything.
All right.
Absolutely everything. There has not been a significant.
I guess I'm not going to Reddit as often as you are.
I do make that mistake sometimes.
Ironheart. I personally didn't see any big issue with that, but one thing that I did see in the comments of why didn't they change the speed of War Machine when Ironheart was definitely pushed back? So I did want to talk to you about that because the team sometimes doesn't work how it should. War Machine's big AoE comes a little sooner than it used to, and that kind of screws things up because he's not going before Vision anymore. And I haven't paid attention too much to the speed of Ironheart, so maybe that'll work out then. But what are you seeing as far as this War Machine AoE attack?
So yeah, I can clarify this. All right, let's start from the top. The changes to War Machine were obviously done, like, that went in when this patch launched, and when this patch launched, they assumed Ironheart was coming. So, what are they going to do? Like, all right, we're going to undo the War Machine changes, then put them back in next patch. Like, it's done. They obviously thought they were going to release Ironheart this patch. Like, they gave us footage of her. They enabled her on the test server. Like, you can start recording footage with her. So I don't think that they ever considered that they would have to push Ironheart back.
I agree. I don't think it was a malicious thing that they did that for. But
definitely not.
What do you think about the way this team works?
Right. So here's the thing. The way this team works, in most matchups, they work better. There are a handful of matchups where overall their total AoE wombo combo got a 10% damage reduction. And that's what people are noticing. There are a small handful of matchups where their AoE wombo combos suffered 10% damage overall. And the reason for that is War Machine used to go after Vision. So if the enemy had defense up, Vision would clear the defense up, then War Machine would go with his offense up. However, the reason they made the change the way they did is when Ironheart gets in, Ironheart is going to go before War Machine, and she's going to put defense down. And defense down on the enemies with defense up will be the same as if they don't have anything.
Yeah.
And that's the same state Vision would have left them in. However, because they'll have the defense up buff, even though they'll also have defense down, Falcon will do more damage. So Falcon does a bit more damage as a result of them having the defense up. And then Iron Man just straight up got buffed. They just gave Iron Man like 20% more damage, and then he gets offense up, so it ends up being about 30% more damage. So Iron Man always does more. So in any matchup where War Machine isn't hitting into defense ups, they're just doing more damage, period. Like, the team's just better. The small handful of matchups where they do slightly less, the main one people are looking at are the Asgardians. And Power Armor, although Power Armor can beat the Asgardians, the whole point of Ironheart, it seems to me anyway, was that, like, she was supposed to be the piece of that puzzle that cements that team, is like being able to take on the Asgardians. But outside of the Asgardians, they tend to function the same against, like, all the same teams that I use Power Armor against. They're just better against. Like, I use them against a bunch of different Ultron teams. They are fine for that. I use them against BKT teams all the time. They're good for that. Various teams. Sometimes if the enemy has like a really, really massive defender team, they're fine for that. So they still do their job. It's not a massive damage nerf. And again, I don't think that they they even realized, like, I don't think it was like, let's sabotage the team with vision on it, because again, more often than not, they're better. So
I think that's fair. I think that's fair, because there were some matchups I'm like, oh, this is not good. They have defense up and some others, and I think a lot of that comes from war and depending what room you're in. But I don't think it's cost me a match. I think I still ended up winning anyway. Yeah. But yeah, a lot of times I don't even notice the difference in speed because he's not hitting his defense up. So it does depend on the matchup and what war room you're attacking. Yeah, they still work. And like I said, I don't think it's cost me any matchups personally. Blitz changes. This is a big low quality time, a big source of low quality time, and I like the change that we saw in that Strike Time episode, being able to scroll through your save squads. I think that is a good change to this mode, but I mean, we talked about it last week as well. Save squads is the big thing, and they talked about more changes to Blitz coming, and I think they also got that April time frame in there as well. What do you think that they're going to be able to fix the save squad issues by April, or is it just some other changes like this to Blitz mode that we should be expecting?
Well, I told you, I've been getting mixed answers regarding why we don't have more save squads, and I actually in the YouTube video for this should be up very, very shortly. But I had Cerebro stop by the stream for about 2 hours last Friday. And one of the things I asked him was like, can you give any more detail on like what the holdup is with save squads? And I felt bad because I basically ambushed him with a few questions that like he was just there for a roster review. Yeah. And it was even going to be like pre-recorded, not even done live. And he was like, we can do it live. And I'm like, okay, knowing full well, like people are going to ask you questions and you're going to have to answer them. Good luck. But so we did it, and that was one of the questions was like, what's the holdup with save squads? And he didn't really get into it. He was like, I can explain to you what the tech holdup is, but it wouldn't change. You know, it's not like this is going to be something you're going to be able to solve. And if I explain what the technical challenge is, then it becomes like, oh well, let me see your code. Let me see if I can fix it. Like it's just. He was like, all you need to know is we're all over it. We understand it keeps coming up. We understand it's a big deal. I keep bringing it up. And we're doing what we can to get you more save squads sooner. I would love a real answer on this one because they don't really monetize save squads. So I don't really understand. Like I said, I also much previously heard, and again, this may or may not be true, but I'd previously heard like, oh, it has to do with like how much space they pay for like data hosting. They'd have to host up more data to give everyone more save squads. But even that, like, it seems like it seems like data you could store locally and it wouldn't be an issue. So I don't
on my phone change the whole save squad system. Just take that out, put it in a new one, and save it on my phone. I feel kind of in the dark here. And I told you last week, like my best guess is that it's really only affecting people because if you think about it. And don't get me wrong, like everyone would like more save squads, but if you assume you're using them all for unique teams, you've got 20, so that's what 100 characters. So only people with more than 20 unique teams are actually using the save squads. And so again, my guess is that for a lot of early and mid game players, they don't need them all. And that's the only thing that makes sense to me is if it's a really late game player problem. Where it's actually like, well, only really a minority of people are dealing with it. You're going to need different squads in different game modes. Like I use different squads in Blitz. I use different squads in War. I use different squads in Raid. So even if I didn't have that full maxed out roster, I would still need more than the save squads that I have. So I don't think it's just a late game play. I think maybe as you start to enter mid game, start using different teams for different modes, that's when you start to run into this problem. So
that's what I think too. But I don't know. I mean, with the roster reviews that I do, just in building, I don't know. Like on average, when I build people Blitz teams, like the average mid game player's got like 12 Blitz teams, and then some of their war attack teams are the same. There's different, and then there's raid teams. Like I don't think it's crazy that people couldn't like I'm sure most people could fill the 20, but I don't know how many people are like, oh, I absolutely need more. I'm bursting the seams. I think everyone would like more. I don't think there's anyone who would have an issue with it. And I see this as like, I can't come up with a good reason why it hasn't been addressed. And whatever major hurdle is preventing them from dealing with it now, it is a problem that is guaranteed to only get worse.
Yeah.
There's no reprieve coming. You're just putting more characters in the game. So whatever is, if it's any kind of like we'll deal with that when we get there. Like, it's not like a if we get there, you know. So it's
it's a when. I don't know. It's a when.
So this was more about the Blitz changes, and I agree with you. I'm very happy about that change to Blitz. But yeah, to me, that it almost seemed like now you can use all your save squads. No, I mean that is a major quality of life change to Blitz, hands down. That's just way better. Like the most irritating part of Blitz.
To Blitz.
Yeah, the most irritating part of Blitz for most people was actually all the wasted time hand selecting characters and switching and all that lag time. Like this is just infinitely better. But it put a major spotlight on about those save squads that we can now use more conveniently. It just seems like a weird thing to add this in and then be like, we're still working on the save squads though. Like,
yeah, that was my initial thought. I'm like, this is cool, but what about the save squads behind that change? It's still exactly the same. So
yeah, this relies on a system that you need to improve.
Yeah.
And it's just like we've seen them do it before. It was, it wasn't long ago. They're like, everyone's getting more save squads, and everyone went woohoo, and then they have not done that since. Like, what was the downside? There's no way it's like requiring like tons and tons of engineering time or crazy resources.
The tinfoil hat theory out there is that the people that made the save squads are gone, and it's all spaghetti code, and no one really knows how to figure out how to.
Just remake it.
That's my thing. Take it out, put in something new that we could sort of locally on our phones and stuff. I don't know. I think they will need to solve this sometime in the near future.
Yep, this is one of the other things I don't let up. Anytime I talk to them, I'll tag on, even if we're talking about something unrelated, like, yeah. Thanks for the art asset for the video. Also, any update on save squads?
So one thing that they did mention in this Strike Time video that I was really excited about was the real-time PvP. Because I'm thinking we could do some matches. We could do some matches with OMG, other content creators, and maybe even some other cool different type of things with a lot of the community. So what are your thoughts on this real-time PvP? Because this is one thing that I really like. Was not a mixed bag. I think this is a total positive thing.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I love PvP. I come from a PvP background. Like before this, I was a full-time League of Legends streamer, and that game is like all PvP. Before that, I was playing a lot of MMOs, and my favorite aspect of that was the PvP. So yeah, I love PvP. I could not be more excited for this feature. As for how it's going to be, we've gotten like some teases about how it's going to be. Like they showed a picture with like a pick ban phase, which I hope that's optional. I don't know if we're going to be able to opt into pick ban or not, but obviously for certain content it'll be good to have. But
yeah, I was assuming that was more like, hey, I'm going to challenge you. You don't get to use these players, and it's just between the two players that do that. But I'm not sure how the final iteration is going to be.
Yeah, no, that is it would be between the two players, and I mean the workaround would be if it was like hey, you can use whoever you want, gloves are off, then just ban, like I'm banning Night Nurse, Bullseye, Ravager Boomer, whatever.
Okay, you think that's you have to ban certain players.
That's what I mean. I hope pick ban is optional. Okay. I hope there's a toggle for challenge.
Gotcha.
Basically just vote pick ban. But so there's that, and then so some other things we've heard. I know that they, if I'm not mistaken, I don't know how much of this I can or can't share. I wasn't told to not share any of this, so I apologize for putting information out that I'm not supposed to. But I'm always of the belief that the players should have info as early as possible. All right. So. I was approached about testing it, and I believe, again, no concrete date, but I believe they're aiming to start doing like some outside play testing around the end of March, I think is what they're aiming for.
Nice.
I'm not sure what that says about a release. My guess would be, if the play testing is well received, that it would release around 4.0.0, which would be like the end of April. Again, that's purely my speculation. There's no date on it.
In the Strike Time video, they didn't even give an exact date, but they were shooting for not this next patch 3.10, the patch after that, whether that be 3.11 or the 4.0 or whatever. But it's the following patch is what they're shooting for.
It's got to be 4.0.0, and that's they've done this where they bring in a big new game mode to usher in a new iteration of the game.
Yeah.
So
like
like
War with 3.0. So it would make sense 4.0 with real-time PvP.
Live PvP.
Yeah.
Yep. So I was also approached, and again, these things are very subject to change. I don't know how serious this was, but and you'd mentioned it too. Apparently, Cerebro expressed some interest in wanting to do like live PvP tournaments. So I got asked if
that would be fun.
Be super fun. So I was asked if I would potentially be interested in like hosting a live PvP tournament, which of course I would. That sounds like a lot of fun. He also mentioned like the possibility of maybe like prizes provided by Marvel or something like that. So that'd be
cool.
Yep.
Be cool.
Again, none of these things are cemented, but it's promising. Sounds awesome.
Ideas floating around at this time. So
yep.
Yes.
And one thing I want to call attention to, and again, I don't know what the finished product looks like, but there was one aspect of live PvP that was discussed, and the reason I'm bringing it up is because I have a sneaking suspicion that the player base will agree with me. So I just want to put it out there and see what you guys think. But so as I understand it, they're looking at just a normal PvP mode, just your roster versus whoever you challenge's roster, whatever characters you got, those are the characters you use. But then for people who may want to PvP, but like if some of you listening want to challenge me, but I have crazy red stars on characters and it just wouldn't be fair, they were looking at a mode that mostly equalizes the characters so that it's more fair. And again, I don't remember the specifics, but it was something along the lines of like, it would bring everyone on everyone's roster up to like at least 5 red stars, something around there. But it was basically like, so no character is too weak to be used, which I don't think is a bad idea. But
I think that's good for newer players. So you could challenge your friends that just started playing the game. I think that would be nice to give them at least into competition, right?
Right. My advice wasn't like, oh, scrap that feature. Like, no, it's definitely not a bad thing. However, that is not the same as an all things equal mode, which couldn't be too hard.
Okay.
My personal preference is, even if they keep that mode, like the catch-up mode, there should just be, whether it's like all characters maxed or just all characters defaulted to 7 gold, 4 red, 7/7/7/5 abilities, whatever it is. But there should be, in my opinion, one mode where if 2 people want to challenge each other, all the characters involved are identical, and there's no, oh, you only beat me because you had that T4 ability and I didn't. Like,
you got lucky with red stars, and I haven't pulled any good red stars.
Right, no fair. You have a 7 red star of that character, and I don't. It's the only reason you beat me. Now that said, like, there's just still going to be instances like in like a defender versus defender matchup, all things equal. There's still going to be like your Iron Fist passive procced every time, and mine only procced a single time. You got lucky. That's why you beat me. But at least then, like, that's the only variable. And so that you can just do like, all right, well, we'll just go 10 times and we'll see if we both make all the perfect decisions 10 times in a row. And it's less of an in-match RNG. So that was my personal feedback. Was I think they absolutely have to have a 100% all things equal mode, which I don't think.
I would agree, because that opens up so many more possibilities to a wider community, especially newer players being able to compete with someone that's playing for 3 years. I totally agree with you. But guys, I guess since it's still being discussed, let us know in the comments. Let the devs know as well. Let them know what you think of the totally equalizing roster for that.
Not trying to create a storm on Reddit disclosing information I'm gonna guess I wasn't supposed to. I don't know, but just because it's an unreleased feature, I wouldn't want them to release it and then have it be missing what I think most of the community would probably want. So I could be wrong. Maybe it's just me who wants that, but I have a suspicion.
I think it sounds very logical. I would want that as well. Quick note: upcoming blitzes. We know about Drax. Blob is coming. How hard should people be pushing for Blob?
I mean, it depends on how their Brotherhood is looking, but Blob is an awesome character. He does lots of damage, takes hits well. He's mostly a stat stick. And yeah, I mean, the Brotherhood's awesome. So, like, there's nothing to lose, right? It's Blitz. Like, don't sell your house for the extra Blitz recharges to max out Blob, but within reason. He's a new character. You never know when he's going to show up next. Like, if you don't get a bunch of Blob shards now, it could be 6 months before you can, and then maybe at that point he'll go to the war store or something. Like, who knows? So that's just fun. You can just trigger people saying the phrase war store.
Cool.
Yeah, I mean, go for Blob. You got nothing to lose.
I gotta say, I was very impressed with him at the low 3-star level, and how well he fit into that team at his so underpowered. So I will be going hard for Blob. Predictions. We got a couple things coming up. St. Patrick's Day. They did something little last year for St. Patrick's Day, but 2-year anniversary of this game's global launch is also coming up. Do you have any predictions on what you think will happen? I don't think it was a big deal last year, but we also didn't have Cerebro last year. So what do you think is going to happen this year?
I have no idea. Yeah, they're pretty unpredictable. They tend to do most holidays, but then they'll do some random ones. Like, I don't know if I was expecting them to do something for like Chinese New Year, and then I think they did. But for most US-based holidays, they pretty much do something for every holiday. So I'm sure they'll be doing some green orb St. Patrick's Day thing. But more importantly, like you mentioned, the last anniversary celebration was very underwhelming.
I don't even remember what happened for it. That's how underwhelming it was.
I think they had, well, I know they made a big deal about their anniversary offers, which were not that good. But I want to say that they had, like, it might not have been a legacy orb, but it was some kind of like anniversary orb, which was all right, but it gave like small amounts of shards. I don't know. It did not leave a lasting.
We have Cerebro this year. What do you expect? Are you expecting something similar this year or something much more substantial?
I mean, it will be hard for it to be less memorable. So I don't know.
Gotcha.
I just like they just did like a gold calendar recently, and that was pretty generous. Doing like the 100 Hela shards for someone else beating Dark Dimension 3, and now everyone gets 100 Hela shards. Like, that's pretty reasonable. So if they're like, oh, someone else beat Dark Dimension 3, everyone gets 100 Hela. And also, happy 2-year anniversary, everyone gets 25k gold. You know what I mean? Like that. You know, they'll just be shooting themselves in the foot. So I hope it's better. Like, in other games, the anniversary celebrations are often like pretty awesome. So
usually pretty big. So hopefully Cerebro gives his input and they actually listen to what he says about this. Interesting thing that I do want to bring up here, you brought it to your attention. Black Widow trailer just came out. There was mention of Taskmaster. We saw a little more of the Red Guardian. We saw a little more of the other Black Widow, which I can't remember her name off the top. Yelena. Okay. So this is normally they have tie-ins with movies, but we also have been talking about some rumors, and I think some of the timing of all this stuff may be thrown off because of the 1-year anniversary, because of the Black Widow movie coming out. What kind of updates are you hearing about any rumors because of this, and maybe revising some rumors that were previously talked about?
Yeah, I've heard all sorts of stuff, and I don't know how much of it is true. Some other people have been discussing a possible Avengers rework, and I've not heard anything concrete about an Avengers rework. At one point, someone mentioned hearing something about an Avengers rework, and then someone else had told me they thought an Avengers rework was being pushed back. I have no idea if that was ever planned. I think they're going to have to make changes to Black Widow, and changes to Black Widow automatically is sort of an Avengers rework.
Yeah.
So that's my guess, is that they would be making changes to Black Widow, and while they were looking at her, they might as well make some changes to the Avengers. So I don't know. There's that, but just trying to get it all straight. I was under the impression, so many of the characters that I've been teasing for the last few weeks on this series, I have been under the impression are coming with 4.0.0. But I was under the impression that 4.0.0 was next, because it made sense for 4.0.0 to hit at the 2-year anniversary, which would be March 28th, will officially be 2 years that this game's been live.
Yes, and they said 3.310 coming out,
yes,
not 4.0 in that Strike Time episode. So
right.
some of the things seemed a little different at this point.
Right. So now we're getting a 310. So the question is what's going in 310 and what's being held for 4.0. So it's possible a bunch of the characters that I've been teasing under the impression that they were coming next patch are actually coming in 4.0 instead.
4.0.
I don't know. But what further makes this tricky is, again, I think that they had intentionally chosen certain characters for 4.0.0 that they knew were like popular and exciting. But now, generally speaking, 4.0 is going to hit like right around Black Widow release, and they always do movie tie-ins. They've not missed a single movie tie-in, so I assume that we'll get a couple Black Widow movie characters. Whether I feel like it's got to be Taskmaster, and then maybe Red Guardian, maybe Yelena, the other Black Widow. Who knows? Maybe they'll do like a white suit Black Widow as a separate character. Like, could be anything. I've not actually heard any concrete rumors pertaining to that, but I don't know that we need to. Like, they always do something with a movie tie-in. So that's kind of assumed for end of April, which means what's going on at the end of March. It's possible that the characters they had planned for 4.0 will go there. We've had some other characters just kind of lingering, like Beast has just kind of been in the no man's land that Red Skull just recently escaped from.
Ironheart
got moved back. So I was under the impression we were getting a full team, or at least most of a full team, with what I'd heard for 4.0, which it doesn't look like we would get in 310 on top of, at a minimum, Ironheart. Like that, at a minimum, that's too many characters. So I have no idea what's actually going on right now. I'm not sure.
So maybe the teases are more for 4.1 and some big question marks in 310 and 4.0.
Yeah, 4.0.
Well, maybe, like you said, that it lines up with a movie time.
I don't think they have a choice. I think Marvel's going to make them do Black Widow stuff then. The question is what's going to go before and what's going to go after. Are they going to do some super exciting stuff rushed before, or are they going to put out more stuff they've had on the back burner for a while and then push all the rest of the stuff till after? So I don't know. I'm not sure. I would love to know after the fact. I'm doing a Q&A with a senior game designer Friday, actually, this Friday at 2 p.m. Pacific time. I'll do it on YouTube Live. Not sure how many questions I can ask about the production schedule, but I'm going to see if I can at least get like a...
I'm sure you can ask him. I'm not sure how many will be answered though, right?
Right. Well, I'm going to ask something along the lines of like, so have some plans gotten rearranged? Maybe the schedule got swapped around a little bit, perhaps? Because that's how it's starting to seem to me, just based on the types of rumors and stuff that I've been hearing. But I don't know.
All right. Well, yes. All rumors. Always all just rumors, guys. So you mentioned a little earlier you had Cerebro on, and I think you also said you did a roster review on with Cerebro. Any big surprises with Cerebro's roster?
Well, I think many people will be surprised by his roster. I don't want to spoil too much, but he doesn't have a crazy roster, and he is clearly experiencing a lot of these same challenges that many players are. He definitely needs gold. He has a lot of characters that he could promote, but he just hasn't because it saves gold. He has some teams, like strong teams with members that are difficult to farm. So like he has like what would be a good supernatural team, but then he doesn't have high stars on Elsa or Ghost Rider. So I think that, and I think that's right. Well, so I think that's good. I think he does a good job where he's at with his account, experiencing what a good portion of the player base experience when they play. And I was pressing him for like, oh, what team are you using here? How you doing this? What do you run here? Just seeing like how much does he really know about what's going on? And he knew what was going on. He didn't say anything that indicated to me like this guy barely picks up his phone. No, he knew. Actually, it made me think like, wow, he spends a lot of time playing the game, probably more than he should. But
I'm curious. Yeah. I'm curious. I didn't catch the live stream, so very curious to see what is going to happen with that video. And of course, guys, put that date for the senior game design or live stream, the Q&A coming up this Friday. You said 2 p.m. Pacific.
2 p.m. Pacific time, live on YouTube.
Cool. Well, I will definitely try to stick around for that. And if I can't catch it live, I'm definitely going to catch the replay because I want to see what happens with all that stuff. Anything else you want to talk about or promote before we sign off here?
Not offhand. I got a lot going on. Just keep an eye on my YouTube channel. I've been doing more YouTube lately. So yeah, youtube.com/Khasino, as seen in Strike Time.
Woo, so, baby. Yes. And the links are down below, guys. And I want to thank you guys once again for watching this video. If you guys liked it, we do this every week. We are very close to coming up on our 1-year anniversary for this weekly news update, and still looking for some interesting suggestions of what we can do. So if you have any ideas, let us know in the comments, and we will decide on one coming up in the next few weeks here. So let us know. And if you like this video, obviously subscribe to the channel, smash on that like button, share this with all of your friends, guys, and check out some of the links down below. They do support the channel, and make sure you check out Khasino. Make sure you check me out on social media as well, guys, and give me a Hulk fist bump, baby. ValleyFlyin out.